Здравствуйте, дорогие друзья. Сегодня мы сыграем в игру Sherlock Holmes.
Holmes! Holmes, will you stop that? You are utterly mad. Stop, Holmes!
Is that you, Watson?
Yes, of course it is. And you almost killed me.
Nonsense. I was aiming for the vases.
Blindfolded?
Watson, quiet, please. I'm trying to concentrate. Ah, Lestrade. What is it this time?
He can see me. Well, here it is, and it's a good one, Mr. Holmes. Gentleman by the name of Peter Carey, also known as Black.
A sailor, most probably.
What happened here?
Oh, Mr. Holmes, how could you?
You're out of your mind.
I missed 4 out of 10.
Given you were blindfolded, that was very good. Can I have it?
Am I the only sailor?
I suppose that Watson is right, Inspector. A little brain work would be preferable now. Do please tell us more.
Peter Carey, born in 1845 and 50 years old. An ambitious sort, he achieved much success in sealing. He invested his money in a property called Woodman's Lee, near Forest Row in Sussex. It was where he lived for 6 years, and where he was found dead.
Has the investigation already begun?
Yes and no. In fact, this crime is so mysterious that I would prefer you to join me down there.
Give me half an hour to prepare, Inspector.
Take your time and join me there. I have to go through the yard first. The merry men struck again.
What have they done this time?
They robbed a powder reserve. I'll meet you at Woodman's Lee, Mr. Holmes.
I should help Mrs. Hudson here. I also have several appointments that I must keep this afternoon.
I shall go alone then. This is where I keep my my archive. I can always consult with it.
Mr. Holmes, I'm over here. Come on.
These footprints appear to be quite large. It seems that the garden was well maintained.
Mr. Holmes?
Inspector Lestrade, when will you remove my husband's body? It's sacrilegious to leave him here like this.
As soon as we can, Mrs. Carey, I assure you. Allow me to introduce you to Mr. Sherlock. I'll wait for you in front of the cabin, Mr. Holmes.
My condolences, Mrs.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Как я понял, информацию. Жмем на левую мышку.
Madam, can you tell me if you saw or heard anything unusual upon the night of the murder?
At 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard a terrible scream. But I thought nothing of it then. He would scream all the time when he was drunk.
Can you please tell me what occurred?
Well, Peter got drunk in the evening. He was in such a terrible temper. Usually whenever that happened, he'd stay all night drinking in his cabin before passing out.
Do you remember at what time?
In the morning, at around 7 o'clock, I noticed the cabin door was open, but I didn't go in to take a look, for I knew my husband would. At around 10 o'clock, I dared to glance in through the door and... oh dear.
Was your husband accustomed to receive...
Oh, no, I don't think so. I mean, he didn't really have many friends. He lived quite an isolated life here, after his retirement.
The garden is very large and well maintained.
It is true, there is a lot of work, but my husband took care of it himself.
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey.
Yes.
He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh, my goodness, but how do you know about that?
You undertook a pilgrimage to the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela when you were young. That much is evident from the rosary in your hand. The shortest route for the pilgrim from England to Spain. I believe that you met Peter Carey as a young sailor there, and you married him soon afterwards.
That is indeed what happened, Mr. Holmes. How extraordinary.
Thank you, madam.
Who could do such a thing?
Всякая информация. Просто информация.
Peter Carey's body is inside the cabin. We took care not to touch anything.
The door is locked.
Wait just a moment, Mr. Holmes, and I'll open it. I locked it yesterday to ensure that no one should enter the cabin and tamper with the evidence.
Ah, good thinking.
Hello, hello, hello.
What is it, Lestrade?
It seems to me that someone has tried to force it, Mr. Holmes.
Let me see. These scratches are fresh. You're right. Someone tried to force open.
I swear these scratches were not here yesterday.
Our mysterious visitor came here last night.
Well, he's not the man for the job. This lock is not...
Perhaps he did not have the right tool. What a terrible way to die. This place is not covered with dust, like the rest of the shelf. An object was taken from here. It was larger than a book, a box or a small chest, perhaps.
Как воображаю.
The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain. Harpoons for hunting whales. Old navigation instruments, nothing interesting. Peter Carey's boots. The initials PC have been crudely burned. A sailor's work. This arose. Yes, this is a coarse tobacco, quite strong and very popular among sailors. Rum, a sailor's drink. This man is in his 50s, yet he still looks quite strong. The weapon fully penetrated the body. The force of the blow was immense. Peter Carey was fully dressed. He was not caught by surprise. It is possible that he knew his murderer. This blood is from the pool underneath the dead body. This blood is from the pool underneath the dead body. This wooden handle is plain and solid. Peter Carey tried to defend himself with this knife, but he did not succeed. JHN are probably the initials of the owner of this notebook. The pattern of the blood stain indicates that the notebook was not lying on the floor prior to the crime, but it was dropped into the pool of blood after the death of Peter Carey. These abbreviations mean something, but what?
Устроить засаду. И посмотреть, и повторить.
Someone was here yesterday. They attempted to force the door to gain entry. Hammerfest. Dundee. It's a whaling map. Is this your husband's tobacco pouch?
I'm not sure. It might be. But he hadn't smoked in a very long time.
Your husband's private papers. Do you know where they are?
There was a small tin box, barely larger than a book. He kept his papers there. It should be somewhere in his cabin.
Thank you, madam.
Who could do such a thing? My poor husband.
Well, Mr. Holmes,
I think that we are
and why is that?
because of last night's attempted...
Oh,
It is very probable that whoever came here hoped to find the door open. They tried to force it with a knife blade.
aha.
We shall remain on the outside, near the window, where we stand the best chance of catching sight of our... These boots don't match the footprints.
Mr. Holmes?
This window is locked from the inside. I do not see any attempt at a break-in. This looks like the perfect hiding place.
Did you hear that? There's someone there. I'm gonna collar him.
I'll be right behind you.
Police! Hold it right there. Mr. Holmes, come and see what we've...
Mr. Holmes?
All right, my fine fellow. Who are you and what are you doing here?
You're detectives, I suppose. You imagine that I'm connected with the death of Captain Carey. I assure you I'm innocent.
Innocent? And what are you doing in his cabin?
Shall I tell you? You came to retrieve what you had lost after killing Peter Carey, but we were here waiting for you.
What is your name?
John Hopley Nelligan, but I didn't...
Do you deny that you came here yesterday?
No, but yes,
I'm tired of this. Off we go to the yard.
What? But you can't! I'm not...
Enough. You can explain all of that to the judge.
But...
In light of recent events, it seems evident that you're...
You are welcome, Inspector, but please don't be too hard on our young fellow.
Mr. Holmes?
Good morning, Mr. Holmes. Can I help you?
Good morning, Constable. I would like to speak to the fellow who was arrested at Woodman's Lee last night.
Ah, the young man. He's waiting in the interrogation room. You can go straight through. His belongings are held...
Thank you. These are the suspect's belongings. The notebook that we found on Peter Carey's cabin. These abbreviations mean something, but what? And partner, 1883. From R. Dawson. To my friend, Dawson. I've seen this name before. Perhaps my archive holds the answer. A pocket knife. It was used to force the door of Peter Carey's cabin. A handkerchief with the initials J.H.N. Locked. Does this notebook belong to you?
Yes. But,
What do these abbreviations...
oh no, I beg...
But I will find... The sea knife was found near Carrie.
I don't know.
The police see...
I didn't steal it from anyone. It has always belonged to me.
The police...
I didn't steal it from anyone. It has always belonged to me.
The police...
I didn't steal it from anyone. It has always belonged to me.
The ring's date of engraving... So, Mr. Nelligan, who is the true owner of the ring?
The ring is mine.
No, Mr. Nelligan. I believe that the ring had belonged...
Oh, but how do you know?
The jacket you are wearing is made of an expensive fabric that only a man of exceptional wealth could afford. Furthermore, the garment is ill-fitting. It is quite clear that it belonged to someone else. With your father gone and taking with him the family's wealth, as a little boy you had to find yourself a manual job.
I'm speechless, Mr. Holmes. It all happened exactly...
Well, I will see you soon, young man. Here it is. Now I begin to understand that young man's story, but I am still unclear as to... My archive. I can always consult with it, if needed. I have heard the story of Dawson and Nelligan.
Yes, Joshua Nelligan was my father.
I am aware that it had a bad ending. When the bank failed, it ruined...
My father was under extraordinary pressure. Dawson had retired. I was only 10 years of age at the time, but it was still old enough to feel that... My father was convinced that he could pay off all his debts if the creditors gave him time. He set sail for Hammerfest in Norway in his small yacht. Just a few days before... He left my mother a list of the securities he was taking. No word was ever heard from him again. We believed that his vessel...
Thank you for the story, Mr. Nelligan. At last. Interesting. Joshua Nelligan and Peter Carey were both at sea in Norway. There is definitely some connection between Peter Carey and Joshua Nelligan's disappearance.
What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong.
"1883. That's the one I need. This is the crew list of the Sea Unicorn. Log notes for July. Nothing special. Log notes for August. These pages have been torn away. Canadian Pacific Railway, CPR. A torn piece from a bond. There are 3 ways of discovering what happened in August of 1883. These are the suspect's belongings. I wonder if these are connected. Now we have the proof that Nelligan's papers were indeed here. It seems that they have vanished, however. something new, Watson. I have the list of sailors who were aboard the Sea Unicorn. I have only to find them. Let us hope they're still working at the harbour.
I think that if you pretend you're from Scotland Yard...
I doubt it, Watson. And really, I would prefer that all of this remains...
And who might they?
The secret police...
Ah, you mean young Wiggin?
Yes. Believe me, you'll receive more useful assistance from these little urchins. Those children are everywhere. They see and...
How will you do that?
There is always a watch beneath our window. I have only to call him. Watson, I need Wiggins. Is he anywhere nearby?
He's right...
Wiggins, could you come upstairs, please?
At your service, Mr. Holmes.
Wiggins, I need you to track down certain people for me. I'll give you a list.
Big Oliver from our gang. He can.
Fascinating. Here is the list.
Sailors?
Sorry to trouble you, Mr. Holmes, but the inspector asks that you come to the station as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Mr. Holmes, I'm glad to see you.
As always, what happened?
We have a new suspect, Liam Hurtley. I'm thinking that this case will be resolved very quickly now.
Interesting. Pray tell.
Well, the constable that I left at Woodman's Lee noticed a suspicious individual prowling around during the night.
Do you have him here?
Yes. He refuses to speak with us, but we'll make him talk.
Let us hope so.
Ah, yes, and one more thing. The constable told me that at the time of his arrest, the fellow was writing a letter.
Do you have it?
Of course. It's in the evidence room, at your disposal. Admit that for once, Mr. Holmes, Scotland Yard is a step ahead of you, mate.
Breathtaking.
Ну что там приедешь?
Please escort this suspect for interrogation. Tell me, Mr. Nelligan, what exactly were you hoping to find inside Peter Carey's cabin?
Что там дождики были?
I was trying to find some information about my father.
I assume you had another purpose, to retrieve the bond certificates. Am I correct?
Yes. I discovered some time ago that a few of the missing securities had reappeared on the London market. You can imagine my amazement. I spent months trying to find them, and at last I discovered that the original seller had been Captain Peter Carey. These papers, they belong to my family, but I could not find them there.
That's all for now. Well, I will see you. Please escort this suspect for interrogation. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I would like to ask you a few questions.
I've already told the police that I've nothing to say, and you're not even part of the police.
Precisely, and considering your situation, it might be wise to speak with someone who is, shall we say, rather more neutral. You are a suspect in a murder case.
I know. Inspector Lestrade told me. It's ridiculous.
Could you at least tell me who you are, and exactly what happened that you should be brought here?
My name is Liam Hurtley. That I can tell you, but you're not getting any more than that.
Well, we shall see.
Ну ладно, посмотрю, может они не нужны. Вроде говорят, что и маски не используются. Да это вроде там уже где-то писали, что отменили эти штрафы. Ну, в одном пишут одно, в другом другое. Одену какая разница. Печаток нету, но маску одену.
That's all for now.
I'm not saying another word.
Не знаю, ладно. Да ладно, я возьму там упал. Пока ладно. Сюда. Да, салат. Да у нас тоже. Дорогие друзья, много оттуда.
These are the suspects belong. Liam Hurtley's old boots. stains are fresh. They I need to prepare a... First condition, all 7 reagents. Second condition, orange reagent should be the third condition. Colorless reagent should be added. No, something isn't right. I need to start the reaction from the beginning again. Done. Now I can proceed further. Let us see if the content of... I did as you asked and hid them well. Interesting.
A new suspect, but this one refuses to talk.
Please escort this suspect for interrogation. So tell me, Mr. Hurt.
Hide? What are you talking about?
I did as you asked and hid them well. Should I continue? A touch of chemistry.
Well, you're a smart one, but it's nothing. If you want to...
I will check that. That's all for now. It seems that the garden was well maintained. Does the name Liam Hurtley mean it?
No, I don't know anyone by that name.
Thank you, madam.
Who could do such a thing? Who could do such a thing? My poor husband.
Locked. These boots match the footprints exactly.
Who could do such a thing? My poor husband.
Please escort this suspect for interrogation. Tell me, Mr. Hurtley.
Woodman's Lee? I've never been there.
The second pair of boots that you had with you when you were arrested perfectly match the...
Footprints? That's...
Now that your presence at Woodman's Lee has been proven, would you care to explain it?
I don't remember. What would I be doing there anyway?
Because you are the gardener at Woodman's Lee.
I'm not.
I observed your hands. They told me that you work with the earth. Small fragments of plants snagged to your trousers indicate that you... But the most obvious clue presented itself in the bird embroidered on your hand.
All right, you got me. Yes.
That's all for now. Hurtley's stories are false leads, but now I know one thing for certain. I must examine the site where the garden tools are kept at Woodman's Lee. Madam, we have information that the valuable...
Oh, my. Our tools are kept inside the shed that's right behind me. Here is the key to open it.
Thank you, madam. Let's see what could be hidden here. Let us see what is in this box. Bundle of letters in a woman's hand with the Carey family mon. Hurtley and Mrs. Carey were in a relationship. Madam, I am aware of your affinity with Liam Hurtley.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Mrs. Carey, we found your letters.
My letters? I asked Liam to return.
Why did Mr. Hurtley put them inside the garden?
I don't know. I wanted them back, but I couldn't see.
Well...
Oh, this is terrible. Terrible. Liam, how...
You believe that he killed...
No, I do not know. I do not know. Leave me alone, please.
Thank you, madam.
Leave me alone, please.
It seems that the garden was well maintained.
I'm not saying another word. I'm not saying another word.
What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong.
I'm not saying another...
What am I doing here? I've done nothing.
How is the investigation going, Mr. Holmes?
These are the suspect's belongings. A pen, nothing unusual about it. These are the suspect's belongings. These abbreviations mean something, but what? These are the suspect's belongings. A pocket knife. It was used to force a handkerchief. These abbreviations.
What should we do next, Holmes?
Brave Toby, the best nose in the British Empire.
What should we do next, Holmes?
Leave me alone, please.
Harpoons for... The weapon fully penetrated the body. The force of the blow was immense. The weapon fully penetrated the body. The force of the blow was immense. This man is in his 50s. Peter Carey was impaled to the wall. I need to stage a reconstruction. I'm sure that Watson would be happy to oblige. A spot of whaling, Watson. Would you care to take...
Are you serious?
No, but we do need to clap...
A reenactment, then?
The sailor's knife.
Peter Carey attempted to...
It is possible. But if that is the case, then it alters many things.
I don't quite...
Tell me, my friend, what is the animal closest to man?
Ah, I see what you're getting at, Holmes. You asked me that once before. On the Ripper case, I believe. Do you want to slit...
No.
Thank goodness for that.
I wish to impale one with a harpoon.
Wonderful.
Watson, let us pay a visit to our butcher friend in Whitechapel. We require the carcass of a...
And the harpoon?
One of the harpoons on the wall of Black Peter's cabin should do. That should do it. Now I am ready for the experiment.
Well, here we are in the preparation room. I can't say that...
To indulge myself in a little experiment.
A little experiment?
Stand aside, Watson. This might be dangerous. I am not well practiced.
Holmes, you should aim for the mark in order to perform the most reliable test. Holmes, you should try to...
This is the best possible result that I could get. Do you see, Watson? Throwing a harpoon and pinning a man to a wall.
If it was luck, then it was a chance in 1,000.
Well, yes.
All right. But before we go, I suppose I'll have to pay for all these
Very well, but please hurry.
Of course.
I wonder if Wiggins has managed to find any sailors.
Mr. Holmes, we found the sailors from that...
Well done, Wiggins. This man is a harpooner, and his initials are PC, the same initials that were found on... Wiggins, could you gather some information?
We found Patrick Cairns. He lives in a small furnished dump of a room, but he's always at the Sea Witch pub.
Excellent. Here is your reward.
Thank you, sir.
If I wish to speak to Cairns without alarming him, I had better dress as a sailor. Now I can approach Cairns and see if he recognizes the pouch. Hello there.
What do you want?
We've heard all about the gambling or not.
I start at 10.
Suits me.
You were lucky. I wasn't focused. Let's go again.
I'm ready to try again.
Fine. If you want me to take all your money.
I'm ready to...
Fine. Well, good for you, I reckon.
I'd like to buy you a...
Good winner as well. You're a good type. Seems you...
Not all that...
Oh, well.
Why do you say poor?
I'm a harpooner. But you see, the whalers are rare. They don't pay much.
A harpooner. Interesting. You've had a lot...
Ah, of course. It's been a dozen years since I've sailed. I've seen everything.
Black Peter, you say? I've heard...
He was the worst of them all. He was a liar, and violent too. Swinging those fists of his around. He was a tyrant.
I see. Yes.
But you ain't heard the worst.
Tell me, and let's have another...
It was in 1883 that it happened. The August of that year. Peter Carey was captain of the Sea Unicorn, and I was a spare harpooner. We were coming out of the ice pack on our way home. One evening, we saw a little craft that had been blown north. There was only one man on her, and he wasn't a sailor. The crew must have thought that she'd foundered, and they made for the Norwegian coast in the dinghy. I guess they all drowned. We took the man on board.
And who was he?
I dunno. During the crossing, he and the skipper enjoyed some long talks. His baggage was just a tin box.
That's strange enough.
Aye. Even stranger was that on the second night, he disappeared. Nobody knew what happened to him. And of course, nobody could ask Black Peter about it.
You know what happened, don't you?
I do. I saw the skipper tie his heels and push him over the rail in the middle of my watch on that dark night. 2 days before we sighted the Shetland lights.
Black Peter's a murderer.
Aye. Those that know him wouldn't be surprised to hear it. But all this must stay between us. All right?
Of course. Back in a second. I'm off to the Kazi.
I'll be here with my drink.
Here it is. Have you got any tobacco? I've run out of mine.
Nah, I lost my pouch. I don't know where. Wait a minute. What's this?
Oh, is this your tobacco pouch?
Well, it is.
Well, I have to go now. I know a captain who's planning an expedition to Cape Cod. Captain Ahab's his name. He commanded the Pequod. He might need good harpooners. I'll tell him about you.
Maybe, if you like.
I'm done here. It's time to leave.
Good afternoon. I must be at the wrong address. I'd like to speak with a ship's captain, Captain Ahab. Is that you?
No, my name is Sherlock Holmes.
That detective fella? So, you wanted to see me?
That is correct. We need to talk.
About what?
About Black Peter, who was killed in his own hut with a harpoon.
You know, don't you?
Yes.
How?
The tobacco pouch. You recognized it.
Oh, the sailor. It was you. Unbelievable. Well, fine. I confess. But if you really do know everything, you should also know that I didn't want to kill him. He made me do it.
I know. Did you know about this story with the bond certificates? Did you need money?
Yeah. I just wanted him to cough up a little silver. I'm out of work, and I thought maybe he could help me. Well, he refused outright, and he insulted me. I reminded him I knew all about that murder he committed at sea in 1883. Then he got mad when I spoke about his treasure. I barely just had time to throw the harpoon at him before he could jump at me with his knife. You know the truth. What will you do now?
I ask that you return the bond certificates. Keep some of them. You will need them in your exile. It is better that you leave the country for a few years.
And you won't say anything to the police?
I will not say anything as long as you return the money.
Well, I'll do as you ask. But what about Inspector Lestrade?
I will deal with him. Goodbye.
It's good that you asked me to come, Mr. Holmes. We do need to talk.
About what?
What do you mean? Our case, Mr. Holmes. You sent me a message via your little thug.
His name is Wiggins, Inspector.
Telling me that the case is solved. Well, Mr. Holmes, tell me, who is our murderer and where is he?
The morgue.
Eh?
His name is, or rather was, Pablo Coventrao. He was also on the ship with Peter Carey, and he was a harpooner. I'll tell you everything, Inspector, but do calm down. Mrs. Hudson will bring us tea and orange cake.
Orange cake? You're spoiling me, Mr. Holmes. That's my favourite.
Ah, Mr. Holmes. Inspector Lestrade told me that I should thank you for clearing my name. He also said that you were waiting for me here. I came as fast as I could. I cannot thank you enough. It is all because of you that this nightmare is finally over.
I believe that this belongs to you.
My father's securities. Incredible! But how did you get them?
It would take far too long to explain.
Tell me. This is extraordinary. You are a genius.
Then that may serve as an explanation. Goodbye, Mr. Nelligan, and good luck.
Goodbye, Mr. Holmes. And thank you. 1,000 times thank you.
Что ж, считаю, что хотя можно, конечно, посчитать по-другому. Люди со мной солидарны. Так же поступили. Что ж, дорогие друзья, позже продолжим. Немножко посмотрим начало следующей части.
This trip to the countryside will be good for you, Holmes. As your friend and your doctor, I really do recommend that you give yourself a complete change of scene. Fresh air, brisk walks, bird watching, chopping wood.
Sounds intolerable.
But you haven't yet told me who your friend is. The one we're going to visit.
He is a bee lover.
A bee lover? Do you mean that he keeps bees? That must be Mrs. Hudson.
There is someone to see you, Mr. Holmes.
I have no time. Send whoever it is away.
Yes, Holmes, I really think we ought to leave now.
Mycroft.
Sherlock.
Oh, Mr. Holmes? Perhaps you don't remember me. I'm Dr. Watson. I documented our encounter in a short story I gave the title...
He does remember you, Watson. My brother remembers...
We are about to depart for the train station. You know?
Sherlock, I need your help. There are people who presently threaten both our countries.
Need? Help? Those are not words I would readily associate with you.
I wrote you a letter, but you did not reply. And this is not about politics. People similar to those whom you pretend.
Everything is about politics with you, Mycroft. I'm not interested. You are defending your people, and they have little to do with the...
That is the point.
Who are...
The Merry Men. He is talking about the Merry Men.
Sherlock, do please think about it. They are planning something diabolical. Your country needs you.
You need me, Mycroft, and you are not the country. Although if your waistline expands very much further...
Mrs. Hudson, tea will not be necessary. Dr. Watson, the train conductor, Mr. Parker. You are in the 4th car. The train will be waiting for you. Sherlock, enjoy your time in Staffordshire. And do.
Так, дорогие друзья, заканчиваем на сегодня. Всем спасибо. Ставьте лайки, подписывайтесь на канал. На сегодня все.